He did not expect anyone to come that night. The room was small and quiet, built for one human on a station that belonged to many species. The walls were smooth metal, warmed by soft lights that never fully turned off. Outside the narrow window, stars drifted like slow snow. The station orbited a broken world, one that had almost burned itself to ash before humans arrived. The man sat on the edge of his bed, armor removed, boots placed neatly near the door. His name was Elias Ward. He was a human officer, not high in rank, not famous, just reliable. Humans were known for that now. Reliable, stubborn, impossible to fully understand. He had finished his duty shift and was preparing to sleep when the door opened. There was no knock. The door slid aside with a soft sound and she stepped in. She was not human. Elias stood up at once, his body reacting before his thoughts caught up. His hand went toward where his weapon should have been, but it was not there. He froze, unsure if that was a mistake or a mercy. The alien woman closed the door behind her. She moved slowly, carefully, as if every step mattered. Her skin was pale silver, not metal but alive, smooth, catching the light in strange ways. Her eyes were large and dark, filled with reflections of the room, of him. She wore a ceremonial outer garment when she entered, long and flowing, marked with symbols that Elias recognized. He had seen them before, carved into the walls of ruined cities and displayed in council halls. She was royalty. His heart began to pound. She did not speak. Instead, she reached up and removed the garment, folding it with care and placing it on the small table near the wall. Beneath it, she wore simple inner clothing, not meant to attract but to show humility. Among her people, this was a sign of trust. Elias did not move. He did not breathe. She looked at him then, truly looked at him, and in her gaze there was no fear. There was no command either. It was something deeper, a quiet certainty. As if she believed she belonged there, as if she believed he did too. "You should not be here," Elias said at last. His voice was calm, but his mind was racing. "This is a restricted human quarter." "I know," she replied. Her voice was soft, musical in a way that translators struggled to fully carry, but he understood her clearly. "You could cause an incident," he said, "if the council finds out." "They already know," she said. That stopped him. She stepped closer, stopping a respectful distance away. "I asked permission. They tried to stop me. They failed." Elias frowned. "That doesn't make sense." "It does," she said. "You saved my world." He remembered then. Months ago, the station had nearly been destroyed when a reactor owned by a trading species went unstable. Most races would have evacuated and sealed the sector. Humans did not. Humans went in. Elias had been one of them. He had not known who he was pulling from the collapsing chamber at the time. He only knew she was alive, fragile, and refusing to leave her people behind. He carried her out anyway, shielding her with his own body when the blast wave came. Humans had rebuilt the reactor using methods no one else dared to try. They had saved thousands. They had saved her. "You don't owe me anything," Elias said quietly. Her eyes softened. "Among my people, debt is not paid with words." She moved closer again until he could see faint patterns along her skin, glowing gently in response to emotion. "I am here because I chose to be." Elias swallowed. "You are risking a great deal." "So are you," she replied. Silence filled the room again, not uncomfortable, heavy. She sat down on the edge of his bed, carefully, as if waiting for permission that would never be spoken. Elias remained standing, unsure of what to do with his hands, his thoughts, his sense of reality. "I was told humans are dangerous," she said, "that you take what you want." "We try not to," he said. "I was told humans fear what they do not control." "We do," he admitted. She looked up at him then, and there was a small smile on her face. "Yet you ran into fire for someone you did not know." Elias said nothing. "My people do not understand that," she continued. "They calculate risk, they measure worth. You did not." She placed one hand on the bed beside her, not touching him, not asking, simply existing in the same space. I wanted to see if the stories were true, she said. If humans are truly different. And, Elias asked, her gaze did not waver. You are. Outside the station, alarms began to sound, distant at first, then closer. Elias straightened. What did you do? She stood as well. Nothing, but others are afraid. The station lights flickered. Emergency protocols activated. Over the intercom, voices from a dozen species overlapped in panic. Elias moved toward the control panel near the door. If this turns into a political disaster, it will, she said calmly, but not because of me. The station shuddered. Elias felt it in his bones. That wasn't an alarm drill, he said. No, she agreed. That was an attack. Elias looked at her sharply. Who? She met his gaze without fear. Those who believe humans should not exist. The station shook again, harder this time. Elias moved without thinking, stepping between her and the door. His body remembered what his mind did not need to command. You need to get to safety, he said. She shook her head. I am already there. He did not understand. The lights went out. Emergency red lighting replaced them. The hum of the station became uneven, strained. Elias activated his wrist communicator. Security team report, Static answered. She placed a hand on his arm, not gripping, just grounding. They targeted this sector because it is human-built. Elias laughed once, sharp and humorless. Of course they did. They underestimated you, she said. He looked at her. You seem very sure of that, she nodded. Because I have studied you. Humans break when they should. They survive when they should not. Another explosion rocked the station. Somewhere far away, metal tore and air screamed into space. Elias moved toward the equipment locker built into the wall. He pulled it open and began strapping on his gear with practiced speed. You should leave, he told her. I will not, she replied. This isn't a debate. It is, she said, because this is my choice. He turned to argue, then stopped. Her skin was glowing brighter now, patterns forming symbols he recognized again. Authority, bond, claim. Not ownership, commitment, his breath caught. Do you know what that means to my people? She nodded. And to mine. Another blast hit closer. The wall buckled slightly. Elias finished securing his armor. He stood taller now, steadier. Then stay behind me, he said. A faint smile touched her lips. I thought you would say that. The door burst open as smoke filled the corridor. Shapes moved in the darkness. Not station security, not allies. Elias stepped forward, human reflexes sharp, heart steady. Behind him, the alien princess stood unafraid. Because for the first time in her life, she had chosen a human. And the galaxy was about to learn why that mattered. The corridor outside the room was filled with smoke and sparks. Red emergency lights flashed in broken rhythm, making shadows jump along the walls. The station no longer felt calm or controlled. It felt wounded. Elias stepped forward first. The figures in the smoke were not station crew. Their armor was dark and uneven, built for intimidation more than safety. Their weapons glowed with unstable energy. They were not here to capture. They were here to destroy. Elias raised his rifle and fired without hesitation. Human weapons were simple compared to alien technology, but they were reliable. The first attacker fell before he could react. The second fired wildly, missing as Elias rolled to the side and used the wall for cover. Behind him, the alien princess stood still. Her eyes tracked every movement. She was not helpless. She was choosing not to interfere. Yet, stay close, Elias said. I am, she replied. More attackers poured into the corridor. The station shook again and a section of the ceiling collapsed behind them, cutting off retreat. Elias cursed under his breath. They were trapped between enemies and a failing structure. Any ideas? He asked. Yes, she said calmly. Trust me. That was not an easy thing to do, but humans were known for one dangerous habit. They trusted when logic said they should not. Elias nodded once. Do it. She stepped forward, raising her hands. The glowing patterns along her skin brightened, spreading like living light. Symbols filled the air, hovering, rotating. The attackers hesitated. Some of them recognized the signs. "Royal mark," one of them said in a harsh voice. "That changes nothing," he fired. The energy bolt vanished midair, absorbed by a shimmering barrier that formed in front of her. The impact sent a shockwave through the corridor, throwing the attackers backward. Elia stared. "You could do that the whole time," she glanced at him. "I was hoping not to," he laughed once, sharp and breathless. "Figures." More alarms sounded. The station AI announced hull breaches and reactor instability. Time was running out. "We need to reach the command core," Elia said. "If we can reroute power, we might stabilize the station." "That is where they are heading," she replied. "Then we're going the same way." They moved together through the damaged corridors, Elias taking point, the princess close behind. Whenever attackers appeared, Elias fought with fast, precise movements. He did not hesitate. He did not panic. Humans were not the strongest species. They were not the fastest. But they adapted. He used broken panels as shields, redirected enemy fire, triggered emergency doors to trap enemies behind them. He fought like someone who had survived impossible situations before. The princess watched closely. This was not the human from the council chambers, calm and quiet. This was the human the galaxy feared but did not understand. They reached a junction where the corridor split. The station groaned, metal bending under stress. "Left leads to the core," Elia said, checking his map. "Right leads to escape pods." She looked at the right path for a moment, then she turned left. "I am not leaving," she said. Elias met her gaze. "Good." They reached the command core to find it already under attack. The station's security forces, many species, many forms, were holding a defensive line. They looked exhausted, overwhelmed. When they saw Elias and the princess enter, confusion spread. "She shouldn't be here," one officer shouted. "She chose to be," Elias replied as he joined the fight. The attackers pressed harder, desperate now. They knew time was against them. Elias fought beside beings twice his size and creatures made of light and sound. He did not slow them down. He kept up. Sometimes he led. At one point, a blast knocked him off his feet. Pain flared through his side. He tried to stand and failed. The princess was there instantly, kneeling beside him. "Are you injured?" she asked. "I'll live," he said through clenched teeth. She placed her hand on his armor. The light from her skin flowed into him, warm and steady. The pain faded enough for him to breathe again. "You should not spend your strength on me," he said. She looked at him with that same quiet certainty. "You are worth it." Elias pushed himself back up. "Then let's make it count." Together they reached the core console. The station AI flickered on unstable screens. "Manual override required," the AI said. "Authorization insufficient." Elias placed his hand on the panel. "Human override," he said. Nothing happened. The princess stepped beside him. She placed her hand over his. "Joint authority," she said. The console lit up. Systems rerouted. Power stabilized. Defensive barriers reactivated across the station. The attackers realized they had lost. Some fled. Others were captured. Silence slowly returned. The station was damaged, but it was alive. Elias leaned against the console, breathing hard. "Remind me to never doubt royal protocols again." She smiled faintly. "Remind me to never doubt humans." Security teams arrived at last. Medics rushed in. Council members followed, faces filled with shock and fear. They saw the damage. They saw the princess standing beside a human officer, and they understood something had changed. Later, when the station was secure, Elias sat alone in his room again. His armor was gone, replaced by simple clothes. His side still ached, but he was alive. The door opened softly. She entered. No alarms this time, no danger. She sat across from him, posture calm, composed, but her eyes were thoughtful. "The council will argue for months," she said. "Some will demand your punishment, others will demand alliance." Elias shrugged. "Let them argue. They will also speak of what they saw," she continued. "A human standing when others fell. a human trusted with royal authority. That wasn't just me, he said. That was humanity, she nodded. That is why they are afraid. She stood, moving closer, stopping just in front of him. My people believe bonds formed in crisis are the strongest, she said. They believe such bonds shape the future. Elias looked up at her. And you? I believe them, she said. She extended her hand, not a command, an invitation. Elias took it. Outside the window, stars continued to drift, but the galaxy no longer looked the same. And somewhere far beyond the station, others were already preparing, because humanity had just taken another step forward. And this time, they did not walk alone. The station did not sleep after the attack. Lights were repaired, corridors sealed, and wounded systems slowly brought back online. Crews from many species worked side by side, following human repair teams who moved with calm speed. They did not argue. They did not wait for perfect plans. They fixed what they could and adapted when something failed. Elias watched it all from a balcony near the command level. Below him, the station looked alive again. The alien princess stood beside him, hands folded, her posture relaxed but alert. She had not returned to her guarded royal quarters. She had chosen to remain here where decisions were being made. The council is divided, she said quietly. Some want to remove humans from all shared stations. Elias did not look surprised. That was always coming. Others want deeper alliance, she continued. They say humans are unpredictable but necessary. That's fair, Elias said. She glanced at him. You do not sound offended. He smiled faintly. Humans learned long ago that being liked is less important than being useful. Her eyes softened at that. Hours later, the emergency council convened. Representatives filled the great chamber, projecting holographic forms or attending in person. The room hummed with tension. At the center stood Elias. He had not asked to speak. He had been ordered. You are a junior officer, one delegate said sharply. You exceeded your authority. Yes, Elias replied calmly. You allowed a royal figure into a combat zone. Yes. You activated joint command without full council approval. Yes, murmurs spread. Then why, another voice asked, should you not be punished? Elias lifted his gaze. Because the station is still here. Silence followed. The princess stepped forward then, her presence commanding without force. The glowing patterns on her skin were faint but visible. He speaks the truth, she said. If he had followed procedure, I would be dead. The station would be lost. Some delegates shifted uncomfortably. Humans do not replace our systems, she continued. They fill the spaces where systems fail. Elias did not speak. He did not need to. A projection appeared showing data from the attack, human response times, human casualty rates compared to others, survival outcomes. The numbers were clear. Finally, the council reached a decision. Humans would not be removed. They would be trusted with greater responsibility. The meeting ended without celebration. Change rarely arrived with applause. Later, Elias returned to his quarters. The door closed softly behind him. For the first time since the attack, he allowed himself to sit and rest. There was a knock. Come in, he said. The princess entered alone. The council accepted your actions, she said. They accepted humanity, Elias replied. She nodded. They fear you less now. That usually means they'll fear us more later, he said. She smiled slightly. Perhaps, but fear is not always the enemy. She sat across from him, quiet for a moment. My people will soon demand my return, she said. Elias felt something tighten in his chest. I figured. They will want me to explain why I chose a human station over royal safety. And what will you tell them? The truth, she said, that I saw the future. He met her gaze. And where does that future place me? She considered him carefully. At a crossroads. That was not comforting. You have a choice, she continued. Remain a soldier fighting battles others choose, or become something new. Elias exhaled slowly. Humans don't usually get invited to something new. They do now. Days passed. News spread across the galaxy. footage of human teams holding the station. Reports of a human officer standing beside a royal figure under fire. Stories grew, changed, exaggerated. Humans did not correct them. They simply kept working. A delegation arrived from a hostile alliance days later. Their ships were large, heavily armed. They expected fear. They did not find it. Human defense lines were calm, efficient. Weapons powered but not aimed. Elias stood at the docking bay with the princess and station command. The hostile leader sneered. "You think yourselves important now?" Elias replied evenly. "We think the station matters. And you would die for it." "Yes," Elias said, no hesitation. The hostile leader studied him, then the princess, then the humans behind them. "This alliance will break," he said. "Maybe," Elias replied, "but not today." The hostile ships withdrew. The station remained. That night Elias stood once more at his window. The stars felt closer now, less distant. The princess joined him. "My people have decided," she said. He waited. "They will form a permanent bond with humanity," she said. "Shared defense, shared research, shared future." Elias let out a slow breath. "That's a big step." "So was running into fire," she replied. He smiled. She turned to him, her expression serious. "There is one more matter." He raised an eyebrow. "I was hoping you'd say that." She extended her hand again as she had before. "I will need a human representative." Elias looked at her hand, then up at her face. "You know I'm not important," he said. "You are," she replied, "because you did not seek importance." He took her hand. Outside, the station lights shone steadily. Far away, other powers watched and wondered, because humanity had done what it always did best. They stood when others fell. They chose action over fear. And now, for the first time, the galaxy was beginning to understand. Humans were no longer just survivors. They were partners, and the future would never be the same again.